Congratulations! You made it to the other side, your baby's here, and you're now in postpartum. No matter how smoothly your birth went, postpartum is never easy. You're likely doing a lot of sitting, you're feeding around the clock, you're not getting consistent sleep, so you're probably feeling a little bit of tightness and achiness, and that's perfectly normal. So I'm going to show you some mobility exercises that you can do starting even in the first few weeks of postpartum to help you relieve some of those aches and pains. Now, while these movements are really gentle, everybody and every birth is totally different. So if you're feeling any discomfort or pain, make sure to pull back or just stop that movement completely. Okay, I hope you enjoy these gentle mobility exercises to start in the first few weeks of postpartum.
Okay, so before we really get started, I just want to show you that when you're moving from laying down to sitting up, you first want to move to your side and then to a seated position. Same thing on the way down. Move to your side, then roll onto your back. Okay, let's go over diaphragmatic breathing. This breathing method is going to be super important to begin in postpartum right away. So you want to be breathing through your nose and expanding your belly and your ribs. You want to think about breathing 360. On the exhale, you're going to let everything deflate. The reason that this is so important in postpartum is because this is what's going to help you to begin strengthening your core again and really developing a connection between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So once you feel comfortable with this, just that big inhale and then exhale through the mouth, you want to start engaging your pelvic floor on the exhale. So you can think of this kind of like a gentle Kegel. So big inhale, expand ribs and belly, and then on the exhale, you're going to brace through the abdomen and lift the pelvic floor. So you can kind of go back and forth between the more passive diaphragmatic breathing where you're just inflating, deflating, and more of the connection breath where you're inflating, tightening, and lifting the pelvic floor. If you don't feel comfortable laying on the floor, you could do this laying in your bed, but also you can do this in a low kneeling position with your hands on your ribs, and the form would be exactly the same. And lastly, here's one more option for diaphragmatic breathing. If you don't feel comfortable kneeling, you can do this sitting on the edge of your bed or on the edge of a chair. And again, hands will be placed on the ribs and form is the same. Next, we're going to go over shoulder slides. So the goal with shoulder slides is to keep your back on the floor as you extend your elbows. So you only want to be extending the elbows as far as you can maintain your back flat on the floor. So with elbows starting at 90 degrees, you're going to take an inhale, and then as you exhale, brace and extend the arms overhead. This movement really works core, shoulder, and upper back mobility. Next is another really great upper back mobility exercise. Here you're going to interlace your fingers and then you're going to reach forward while you round your upper back. So you kind of want to imagine that as you're pushing your hands forward, you're pushing your upper back behind you. And then you're going to reverse that. So you're going to interlace your fingers, roll your shoulders back, and lift your chest up. As you heal and feel more comfortable with this movement, you can start to lift the arms higher behind you, and you can try to keep your palms pressing together for a little bit extra mobility. Here's the same movement again, but if you felt uncomfortable kneeling on the floor, you could try this sitting on the edge of your bed or chair or on a stool. You just want to make sure that your feet are firmly planted onto the floor. Here I'm just showing some simple shoulder rolls. So you'll shoulder roll forward and backwards. You want to make sure that you're moving your shoulders through a full range of motion. So going all the way up, back, down, and around, and then reversing, going up, forward, down, and around. If you felt uncomfortable being on the floor in a kneeling position, you can also do this exact same movement sitting on a chair, stool, or the edge of your bed. Make sure your feet are firmly planted on the floor. Okay, this movement here is actually one of my favorite neck stretches. So you're going to be in a kneeling position. You're going to tilt your head to the side and your chin slightly up as you reach your opposite arm down towards the floor. So you're kind of stretching in opposite directions. And then here I'm showing the same movement sitting on a chair. This is actually nice because you could reach underneath the chair to get an even deeper stretch. So again, you're tilting the head one way and reaching, or in this case, pulling in the opposite direction to get a really nice neck and trap stretch. Pelvic tilts are a really great way to work pelvic floor as well as hips and glutes. It will also allow you again to practice your diaphragmatic breathing and create that nice connection between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So while laying on the floor with a neutral spine, you're going to inhale, then on the exhale, focus on just tilting your hips back and pressing your middle back into the floor. Then you're going to inhale again, fully relax, and repeat. This movement is called a heel slide. So this is a really good way to start engaging your core and re-strengthening your core. While laying on the floor, you're going to inhale deeply into your ribs and belly. Exhale, tighten and brace as you slide one heel out. Flex the toes and then continue the exhale as you pull that heel back in. Not only is this a great way to work the core, it's also a really nice way to mobilize hips and gently stretch the hamstrings. So really wanting to make sure you're flexing the foot at the bottom of the movement. Here is a clam shell. This movement can be done again laying on the floor or laying in bed, and this is a really nice way to strengthen the glutes and mobilize the hips. So you want to be laying on your side in a relaxed position with your head resting on your forearm. Then you're going to take your thumb and place it on the outside of your glute. You want to initiate this movement by squeezing the glutes as a way to lift the top knee. So you're going to inhale, exhale, squeeze, and lift. Here is our beginner's dead bug, the feet elevated dead bug. This is the first version of dead bug that you're going to want to do in postpartum because it's a really gentle way to start working your core. In addition, it also increases circulation because your legs are elevated, and also mobilizes the upper back and shoulders. So inhaling deeply into the belly and ribs, bracing through the core, lowering one arm behind you. You want to make sure that your ribs are pulling down and your back is pressing into the floor. If your back lifts off the floor as you extend back, don't go quite as far back. Just go to where you can maintain proper form. This is a Samson stretch. The Samson stretch is an excellent way to stretch your hip flexors. So you're going to get into a half kneeling position, tuck your hips under, and then slightly shift forward until you feel that hip flexor stretch. So you don't want to be shifting too far. You still want to keep your hip pretty much over your back knee, but just far enough to feel that hip flexor stretch. And then here's the same thing, tuck, shift, and then if comfortable for you, you can add a twist. So you want to bring your top arm down to your opposite knee. And here I'm showing the movement again. So it's tuck, really pulling your belly button towards your chin, shifting, and then adding the twist if it's comfortable for you.
Thanks for watching. I hope that you found these gentle mobility exercises helpful.